So, you're single and you're ready to mingle, but you don't know where to start. You could go to the bar, but that's kind of intimidating. You could try online dating, but we all know how that can go. Speed dating from Eventi brings you completely inclusive events, welcoming people of all genders and sexualities. Whether you identify as LGBTQ+ or not, Eventi Speed Dating is the perfect opportunity for you to put yourself out there and have a laugh with friends. Their events take place in Glasgow, Edinburgh and Newcastle, with plans to expand to other cities in the UK. And let me tell you, these events are not to be missed. You might just find your next partner in crime, or at least a great story to tell your friends. Grab your tickets on theeventi.com and join us for an unforgettable night of laughter, fun and maybe even a little bit more. Speed Dating by Eventi. Unique, inclusive events for all.
No.
Right, the true question is, what do we have for breakfast? I'll go first, because I love giving people some time to speak and think, right? So, for me for breakfast, I woke up, I had coffee and yoga, because I'm a wanker, and then I had cereal. It was Crunchy Nut cornflakes, but off-brand Crunchy Nut cornflakes. It was medium disappointing, but I looked through the window and thought to myself, there's hope after all. That's what I had for breakfast. What about you? Super casual.
Well, first, you've got your breakfast at the moment that you can't
I've got
eat.
a niche interest.
You've got a niche interest in your breakfast at the moment, don't you?
What is it?
I'm really into bagels at the moment.
Yes, I love a bagel.
I found a combination of brioche and banana.
So you get a brioche bagel in Tesco.
A brioche bagel? So is it like a soft bagel?
It's like a normal bagel, but it's like a brioche bread bagel. So I've
that's
been having
exciting.
that with banana.
Love it, love
which
it,
is
love
lovely.
it.
So I've had my bagel.
Bit of cinnamon?
That would be nice. I've not
Yeah.
done that yet, but it sounds nice.
Hit it
So
with the
I had
cinnamon.
that, and I had a latte with it.
Love a latte, love a latte. What about you?
So at the present moment, I'm pretty much eating a kind of tropical fruit oat muesli thing with coconut milk because I'm also an absolute wanker.
Love coconut milk.
So the thing is, what I do is I'll leave it in the cereal and then I'll like take that like to work in the morning and then I'll come back and then by that point it's almost like overnight oats.
Oh.
No, it's no, I put it in the fridge, but it's kind of like overnight oats. It kind of soaks it up
That's
because
nice.
it's oats based and it's quite pleasant to eat. And
Yeah.
Cause
The flavour would diffuse in
and
it. Yeah,
because
I
there's
get you.
bits of fruit, there's like papaya and pineapple and stuff like that. So it kind of binds its
papaya.
way into it like that. So it's lovely. It's genuinely lovely.
Delicious. I'll be honest, my preference for coffee in the morning now is either espresso or black. Basically because I get free coffee all the time now, and I'm like, why did I not leave work sooner? Because I would have saved hundreds of pounds on coffees.
It's so expensive.
It is like what? It's like £5 for coffee now. It is wild. But anyway, so wait, Natalie, what's your first name again? Paul. Okay, Natalie, Paul. We're not doing second names, right? Just to keep everyone all like
Stop you from getting
Google friendly.
doxed.
Yeah, exactly right. What am I doing? I'm doing a podcast. Hello, you're listening to the Don't Date Me podcast. I'm Jamie, a 6'4" bisexual man. I am 38 years old. I am so close to being 40. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. Right now, I'm in All Bar 1 in Glasgow, on a street, which is also in Glasgow. I'm currently being fancy. I'm having an espresso with tonic water, which sounds disgusting, but it is actually a delight. It's a summer delight. But most excitingly enough, I am joined with the owner, and business life partner,
business life partner. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
silent partner? No.
I'm very rarely silent.
Very loud.
Yeah, very light
My
partner. Of the Eventi, yay! So by this point you'll know all about this. It's our first, well actually technically speaking, not our first sponsor, but our first proper sponsor. So thank you for your support. It has been a pleasure making people know about the community building you're doing in Glasgow and across the UK. And yeah, so I'm excited to sit down and just have a chat. Also post speed dating event that me and the boys went to, which was really funny. And then I guess you guys can ask me about it. You can quiz me and feel free to ask anything you want. And then we'll just have a wee chat about, you know, the business and stuff and like what the plans are for it all. So Natalie, tell me a little bit about yourself and also how you found your way into making this business. What's your thoughts? Because is it something that came to yourself? Was it your own idea?
Well, we can absolutely definitely answer that because you can talk. Right, watch. Why did you start your event? Ignore that. Why did you start doing your events? No, stop looking at that. It doesn't matter that that's it. You were talking about it a minute ago. Eh?
I've got a mind blank.
Well, this is the other thing as well, like, it depends whether you're comfortable or not, but you can talk about your own experience as well, because for me, for instance, me and Sarah have been very transparent about as transparent as we're legally allowed to be regarding many situations, but also our own struggles with mental health and all that kind of stuff. So for me, you know, through the podcast, I've really talked about, I wasn't planning to effectively talk about my dyslexia. I also wasn't planning on talking about my ADHD, but ultimately, if it wasn't for Vincent being on episode 1 of the podcast, and some people from the first season who would listen to the podcast would be like, where's Vincent at? Vincent was busy. He had a whole load of things going on. But he made a reference at one point about me having ADHD, and I was so annoyed that I was like, I don't have ADHD, I'll show you. So I actually paid to get assessed for it, and it was very expensive. And I pure do have it. Significantly so. To the point where they're like, do you want medication? And so I've decided to go down the route of no medication, because ultimately if I'm really mindful about what I put into my body for the most part, aside from tequila, and also just counterbalance it with yoga and exercise, usually everything's a-okay. So like, feel free to talk about, you know, the kind of your struggles, or, you know, that stuff as well.
There's been plenty of them, hasn't there? Well, the struggles, like, you had to come to grips with a whole pile of things, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, like, the reason that you started it originally was because you had shitty dating experiences. I've just realised I'm allowed to swear that.
Yeah.
Just make sure. Yeah.
I'm dropping all the F-bombs on the last season, so yeah.
Yeah, and you found it.
Did you meet each other through the speed dating thing?
No, but that'd be very weird. Like an LGBTQ event for being hard to meet. We're never going to.
I know, but you could have been at the bar.
No, that's fair. Hey, a bit unprofessional. But yeah, no, but we did meet on dating app, didn't we?
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's
okay. But that's interesting, because the person. I'll edit that bit out. Never mind. We'll tell you that a bit later. I was going to start talking about my dating life then.
You had less than excellent experiences on dating apps, right?
Yeah.
In what way?
I've never used dating apps before. I think I just didn't like the whole process of it.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just...
Feels a little bit inauthentic, right?
Yeah.
Almost like you're on Amazon or something.
There's a lot of effort and texting.
Yeah.
You don't even like the person.
Yeah.
And you do find yourself in horrendous situations with texting. Like,
I'm a bad texter in general.
Oh no.
I struggle to ever message people back.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of effort, and then you meet them in a day, you didn't like them anyway.
Oh no! Do you have any juicy stories you want to share? or is it a distant memory? Oh wait, how long have you guys been together now?
I knew to you.
Nice, okay, so yeah, a distant memory.
Quite a distant memory.
That's good, that's probably a good thing, right? So yeah, so creating the safe space, and then, so how did you, where did the inspiration come from? Were you like sitting at work one day and then suddenly like ding? Because for instance, for the podcast, I always say this, but the reason why it even exists is because Sarah said to me, we should make a podcast. And I was like, no. and then she was like, no, we should do it. And that's really why it exists. So what was your entry point for it?
I think it was just like my bad experience with online dating. I think a lot
Yeah.
of other people would say the same things. So I spoke about speed dating and everything, so it was something that I'd never wanted to try before. But when I was looking at it, there wasn't a lot. They weren't really inclusive. They were quite dated.
Yeah.
And I think I just wanted to sort of create something new, a sort of modern approach to it. There was no like LGBTQ plus ones like anywhere. It wasn't something that I could see when I was googling anything. So it looked best. So I just came up with the idea to just give it a go and try it. And
There's a very weird timeline, isn't there?
Yeah, what's the timeline for
Right,
it?
so, because me and Natalie spoke about her doing something that she wanted to do that was new. Like I said, you know, I mean,
like a project outside of work.
Yeah, a project outside of work is probably the best way to put it. But like, you know, like I want to be my own boss. So where do I start that? And it kind of started there, and then at the same time, that was when you started dealing with kind of both your sexuality and like your neurodivergence and all that type of stuff, and how you were going to.
How do we, just for context for the audience, like, are we cool talking about how we identify and stuff? Like, what's the situations?
Yeah, I mean.
My name is Jamie. I am a cisgendered male. I am bisexual. I have been bisexual my whole life.
Yeah, so my name is...
Are you not clapping? Come on, clap.
My name is Paul. I'm a cisgendered male. I suppose I'm mostly straightish. I think there's definitely...
If we're doing a golf clap.
No, and I think everyone sits on like
a
the spectrum. You know what I mean? So I don't believe it's ever as black and white.
I get you.
Like, because it never is. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
And where are you, Natalie?
Are you bisexual unicorn like me? Yes! How exciting. So fun.
But there was that, so Natalie was dealing with her sexuality, and then she was dealing with telling people about...
I think as well, when it comes to like online dating and things, I think that can be quite a scary thing to explore for online dating, I think as well. Like if you're just coming to that as well, online dating for a bit much. So I think as well, like I just wanted to create like a little sort of safe space as well, that people is quite chill and laid back, and people can go to meet new friends, meet new people.
100%. And that's
less scary, I think, than sometimes like the dating apps.
Because you get, I mean, I was going to say bad messages, I don't mean it in a bad message way, but you do get messages quite a lot like, is it suitable for a bisexual person to come to this? And it's like...
How strange.
We were talking about it in the car. It's in the scenario that, so say you want to date a man. In that situation, the fact that you're bisexual arguably is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because in that situation, you're there to date a man, so it's technically no different from any of the other men who are there to date a man. And that, I know that that's not how the community views it at all in any way, shape or form. But intrinsically it's not. But the question comes up all the time, doesn't it? I mean, you get messages about bisexuality probably more than anywhere else. Like even,
It's interesting because Kizzy, who hasn't been on the Don't Date Me podcast, but she was on the Don't Leave Me podcast. Throwback, subscribe on Apple Podcasts to unlock episodes. She is bisexual, but she's getting married, and so she has this real battle she finds where she is battling for acceptance from other people, because she, for identity purposes, views herself 100% authentically as bisexual, but because she's a woman and she's marrying a man, and like, which is the most heteronormative thing you can possibly do, you know, people always say to her, oh well, you're just straight or whatever, and they minimize that aspect of her. So it is really interesting, like, because I never thought about that for the speed dating thing, because for me, I'm at the point in life where I'm just like, I am who I am. If you don't like it, fuck off. but you know, navigating the idea of someone navigating just coming out, or someone who's completely closeted, or someone who's got repressed issues, or all that kind of stuff, but then combining and merging them with a group of people who are weirdos like me, who are like fully just like are who they are kind of thing. It must be quite challenging sometimes. Has there ever been any like issues or anything on any of the nights like that, or is it usually quite kind of community driven?
Not really. It's always been it's been a really lovely crowd. I'd say kind of every time we've got like regulars that come back, and
that's nice.
Everything's been pretty lovely mostly.
There has been lots of times though where kind of what you touched on, where the people that have shown up have been newly out, like in some form or another.
We've got that a lot. Like we've got people that say we've newly come out. They've not used any of the apps and they felt sort of comfortable coming to the events.
That's really cool.
That's good, and that's kind of what I was going for when I set it up. It's a bit easier, I think.
That gives me hope, because ultimately anyone that I spoke to recently, they have said, like, everyone says that all these dating apps are terrible, and it's because we are monetized as humans enough as it is online by tech companies, but ultimately dating apps is the most predatory version of it, because it's like, it's the basic human need to connect with another, and it's like monetize that, and that's so problematic.
It's also predatory in another way, which is there is anyone can be anyone they want to be when they're sending a small message to each other. Like, you're not, you know what I mean. You're not lying to each other's face. You're not. There's no body language. There's no like.
Case in point with the episode we did where I made my own dating profile for Tinder, and we crowdsourced making the perfect Tinder profile, which is almost as fabricated after our process of trying to make it the perfect dating profile as it was when I had done it on my own. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I think what I was saying is with the speed dating, it can be much more effective, time effective as well.
It is,
You've got, like, a few minutes to get to know someone, you can get like a good vibe.
Exactly.
You just talk to somebody, you don't know if you're going to click in real life when you meet. So.
Yep, that's so true.
Also, dating apps. People, there is very specific flaws that exist in dating apps that people have got.
Oh, like, why don't you give us one?
Well, so like.
Let's go for it. It's season 6, baby.
So things like, you know, group pictures, pictures with animals, pictures with children, pictures with random family members.
Filters.
Filters.
Oh, I hate filters when they look like animals and stuff. I'm like, that's not what you look like.
And I get, but that's exactly it. But then on top of that, there's the other side of the spectrum where people putting up pictures that just don't like. Maybe you don't take a good picture, or maybe,
and that's okay, right?
That's fine. But that doesn't mean that that's how you look in real life. So like, the speed dating does change that, because it then means that it's the real person in front of you.
It levels the playing field.
It does. It definitely does, because there's people that will be swiped by because it's like window shopping.
It is.
That are actually
so true.
That are actually delightful.
Exactly.
There's a couple of people that have came to your events who are genuinely lovely. Like genuinely lovely.
And you might not give those people a chance in dating apps.
Actually.
Whereas you're kind of forced to go outside your usual type and speed dating. Whereas if you're swiping, that you have a specific type, you know what you're looking for, and you're not maybe giving other people a chance.
And I would say, reflecting on that, my experience for the speed dating, because me, Jason, and James went to a speed dating event. It was really funny. I was the one that got us there in the first place, and then I was so resistant to going. But I ended up having the most fun, I think. Interestingly, the people that I connected with the most were the ones that I would usually not think to, right? And I think my friend Gwen always gives me trouble because I literally use Tinder and some of these dating apps like Uber Eats, which is that's not healthy, that's not how it should be, that's really bad for me, my mental health and my well-being, right? Let alone the poor person that I end up going on a date with, and I'm like, oh wait, you're terrible, get out of my life. Do you know what I mean? So I think it was really interesting meeting people who, I actually connected with. Which should, and I feel weird saying that, like, oh, it was a surprise that I connected with someone. Like, that shouldn't be what, life should be all about connections. So yeah, it's exciting. So, go for it. Quiz me on my experience of your speed dating event. This is like you doing some research.
So that's actually what I was thinking. So kind of just based on exactly what you said.
Yeah.
So you were presented with a plethora of men on that
platter, shall we say? A silver platter
of men that evening. But what does that like? So how did you find that experience? Like, as in, so you were being, because like you said, so instead of it being an aesthetic thing, and so because of my age, which I'm the same age as you, and because of my age, I always compare it to it's essentially hot or not, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what Tinder is. It's just essentially.
God, that website is such a throwback.
Yeah, and it's also incredibly toxic if you talk about it. It's so terrible. But
that's when we were honest about how terrible the internet was. Anyway.
But it's like, so like, if you're removing it because you're being forced is maybe a terrible way to describe it.
Encouraged, nurtured.
But you have an obligation to talk to the person you've been put in front of for the amount of time that you're given.
Where's this question going? I'm so nervous.
No. So like, how did you find that? Like, I know you kind of touched on it there, but how did you find like being forced into a situation to talk to a person that you usually wouldn't have spoke to is probably the best way to put that. Like, so
I think it's funny. I think I snapped into like I think I was the least nervous out of the three of us, right? Because we've all got our special things that we bring to the table. Mine is ADHD and I guess like enthusiasm. I guess
you're certainly not a wallflower.
Someone once said that I've got the enthusiasm of an American, and I was like, I'll take it. And what I would say is it was really interesting because I just snapped. At first, I snapped into like radio production mode, where I was like, "So, tell me about your favorite film." And then someone else, I said, "Tell me about someone that means a lot to you in your life." Like questions that I would, or even the kind of question I'd ask someone in a job interview, if I'm honest, right? Just as like a starting point, because I found most people were quite nervous and they weren't coming to the table with a question, right? So I kind of did what I always do, which is just kind of like warm up the crowd, and then before I knew it, I was just actually having a genuine conversation. So even though I was trying to be fake as fuck, I couldn't, because I was sitting there at a table in front of someone having chat, and so it really actually challenged me and made me realise that I needed to rethink the way I integrate myself in society, not joking, workplaces, not joking, and also relationships. And I think if I reflect personally on what's happened since the speed dating event, I have changed my job, I have started dating some people, a person. I'd love to say I'm polyamorous, but I don't know if I can commit to being polyamorous. And also, reconnected with my family. So for me, the way I look at it, even though I'm only realising this right now, that speed dating event was like the start of me readjusting everything.
I mean, that was
so I don't know if that's an endorsement or not.
That was more intense than I thought.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because you're having to talk to someone on a human level, like as in.
Yeah.
I work in IT and I've worked in many industries. I've worked in big corporate, I've worked in other stuff. It's dead easy to go into a meeting and have your meeting, and go into a room and have your team and talk to your team and do all of that type of stuff. And it's really easy to just be the person that you have decided to be in that moment.
Exactly.
Whereas if someone is directly in front of you talking to you and they're being open and honest, it almost kind of forces you to have to be open and honest. Like it's, you know what I mean? So it's interesting that I never kind of really thought about it on the kind of social level of the scenario, but it is very much like you're having to, like I said, it's kind of because you're forced, like as in, because you're there and you've paid your money or whatever and you've got an amount of time that you're in front of that person.
You feel committed to it almost,
exactly, so you're kind of forced to talk to a person at a human level, which pretty much doesn't really happen in life.
And I think it's interesting too, because when I was talking to Jason, like I'm sure Jason won't mind, well, sorry Jason, I'm saying this whether you want me to or not. You don't edit the episodes. He uses Grindr too much, and he uses it almost like entertainment, right? And I think he found it very challenging coming to speed dating night, because I'm the kind of person where I'm at in life, I'm never usually fazed by meeting new people and stuff. But I get not everyone's, and that's only because of practice, right? Like I didn't used to be like this. But for Jason, he was very anxious, and I'm talking like sweating. Yeah, it's scary, right? And I think it helped him realise that I hope it's helped him realise that he's not going to find what he's looking for on a dating app. Because there is a purpose to them. So for instance, I've got a friend that lives, ironically, in Canada, because Jason is Canadian, but I've got another friend that lives in Canada. He would use Grindr as home base. So he'd land in a country and meet an interesting person and just have a wee adventure, and then be like, see you later, and then that would be it, kind of thing. Because ultimately, you know, who better to give you the guided tour of a city than someone that's fully integrated in that city, right? Yeah. That in itself is problematic though, right? Because then how authentic is that interaction or whatever?
Yes, but I mean, one of the things that come up is there's loads of people who end up because there's people that have ended up being friends, isn't there? There's people that have told you
Oh,
that
through the
ended up in
events?
friend groups. through
It's
the
happened
events.
quite a lot.
Oh wow, okay.
A lot of people, like, there's a lot of people come to it regular and think they go to meet friends, to meet new people, kind of like-minded people. So a lot of people actually use it to meet
Yeah.
new friends.
So is that
There's been a few friendships made from it. They've said
Yeah.
that they've got a group of people now that they've got out with that they've met through that.
that's
Which is
exciting?
nice.
And again, that's in a lot of cases that's newly or relatively newly out people who
Yeah.
didn't have
Wow, that's
who,
amazing.
who don't want to.
It's
and
like, where do you find that group of people?
Again,
that
like,
are out and-
like we're in Glasgow, as it's probably there, right? What's not happening, I mean, it might happen in the odd occasion, but what's never happening is a newly outed person isn't going to polo and making friends. Like that's
No.
not happening. Yeah. I mean, like that's not happening. Right?
Just for anyone listening from across the pond, holler to our American and Canadian listeners. We see you in the analytics. If you want to go on a, I can't endorse a night out in polo. I can't do it. They're not paying me to say it, so I'm not saying it. If you want to get lucky, don't go to polo. Use a dating app instead. No. How would you explain a night out in polo?
Well, I mean, I imagine
Terrible?
that- see if, terrible.
I've actually
See if-
had a lot of
like,
nights
so-
out.
Problematic?
Okay, so
Have you?
if someone get well, I mean, I've got, no, like,
Plot twist.
No, so my best friend
Yeah.
is very gay, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's been out since he was, I don't know, 18, 19.
Yeah.
He's now nearly 40.
Does he love it? Does he love polo?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, thank God,
But,
okay.
But he doesn't. But there's obviously a time in your life where
Yeah, you
you're
need
going
that.
to the gay clubs
Yeah.
because you have to find yourself. You
And
have
it's
to do that,
liberating and
yeah, like that's it.
But the music is so terrible sometimes.
But the problem is, it's
Yeah.
it's a lot and daunting for
Yeah.
like someone who's newly out to find themselves in a situation where lots of the room isn't newly out and are comfortable in
Right.
themselves.
Here's a great example, right?
It's just kind of scary.
Yeah, well, imagine this, right? So you're newly out, you've got one gay friend from work, for talking sake, right? And then your gay friend at work is like, oh, there's this really great night you can go to called DILF. Now, DILF, for anyone across the pond, is a night, we'll just Google it, whatever. But it's basically, oh my God, how do you describe it? I've never been, but apparently it is a fetish night where you wear jock straps and that's it. And there's music and there's daddies and bears, baby, which sounds really hilarious, and I would go for the science, but
It's-
also terrifying. Like, imagine that would refer.
It's even more intense if we take it out of the UK. It's much more. It's
Yeah, because we're quite.
in Germany.
we're
the
quite.
likes,
Yeah,
it's
we
very,
boarding
it's
here.
Very, it's very conservative here
Yeah.
in comparison to it as in Germany. It's
Yeah.
much more
Liberal? Yeah.
Liberals
Yeah.
are very loose way you say that.
And that's the thing actually that's really interesting is like this podcast was Sarah's idea. She's the one that frequents Belgium and all these places and gets all the kind of spicy things in her life. But one day we'll get stories out of her, I swear. But anyway, okay.
Yeah, so that's what I was just saying. Like, because like you've been to various gay bars in and around Glasgow, right?
Yeah.
So, where's your experience in finding yourself in a gay bar around lots of?
And it must be different because as a woman as well, right?
I don't know the answer to that actually. I've never.
I imagine it's more sexually charged for a man. I guess, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know though. Is it though? Like, cause Katie's is a bar in Glasgow that's really fun. I've gone to a couple of times, not
You've been to
recently.
Katie's?
Granted.
you found yourself being touched in the bar, haven't you?
Oh wow.
A couple of times.
Yeah, it's a
Like
couple of times.
by women, yeah.
Yeah.
How did you navigate that conversation? Are you like, oh, I don't think so? Because it happens to me in gay bars, and that's actually why I don't go to gay bars most of the time. Because I'm like, it makes me very uncomfortable.
The last time you were quite proud of yourself because you said you're not interested.
You're like, I still got it.
I think I just said no thank you.
Oh, you're so
I
polite.
think I said no thank you. And
That's
then
nice.
And then just walked off. I mean,
Oh, that's lovely though. Oh, I love lesbians. And also bisexual women.
But imagine you found yourself in a scenario where
I can't believe I just said I love lesbians. I love lesbians.
you're newly out, you're not entirely comfortable with yourself,
Yeah.
and you're now in Kate's bar getting touched up by a woman.
yeah,
Like,
that is,
Wow.
it's a bit much.
That's
why I was
wild.
like, oh, no thanks.
Actually, yeah, I've never even.
I just
That's the
thought-
thing, right? So, back in the day when I was doing all these terrible promotional jobs, some of which were great, whatever, most of them were terrible. and I got booked on one that was in a gay bar, which shall remain nameless, and it was minging. Like, I was getting pure leered at by the manager of the actual bar. I wasn't even wearing anything revealing. I was literally wearing jeans and a tight-fitting t-shirt. And it was the most uncomfortable I've ever felt. And I was like, is this what it feels like to be a woman in a bar? Like, I just felt really minging. And then combine that with the terrible music. Maybe I should start a gay pub or a bar. That could be the next thing. Okay, so do you have any more questions about my experience or the boys' experience? Because also James and Jason as well, their experiences.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, I'd certainly say that what you brought up is very interesting because I hadn't ever really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
How did you find the diverse range of people? So,
I liked it.
Because there's kind of different levels to this.
Different flavours.
Yeah, other than having to talk to someone, you're definitely going to find yourself in a scenario where you're talking to maybe a neurodivergent 21-year-old and a guy who has been out for the last 40 years, and literally 40 years because he's like maybe verging on 50, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's there as well, so
into it, yeah.
But in that scenario, like, how did you find adapting to that situation if it wasn't the type of person you would usually talk to?
I think if it wasn't the type of person I'm happy to talk to anyone, right? So if it wasn't the type of person I'd usually date,
yeah, that's what I mean, don't date sexually.
Yeah, I'd still like kind of dip a toe in the water and be like, what's this situation? And then try and like get their vibe or whatever, and just basically see if there was like a good energy between us or whatever. And yeah, but I think because I'm able to suss people out quite quick, I was able to kind of identify people that I would want to actually see again or date, and then from that I then during the conversation would pivot more towards just like friendly banter and stuff. It was really interesting actually observing as well, because every so often I'd like have a wee sneaky peek and see what James and Jason were up to, right? And every time I looked round at Jason, I'd be like, I like thumbs up, and he'd be like, stop it, because he's so socially awkward. And I can't tell if James was actually nervous or not, because he's got a great poker face. Never play a game of cards with James, because you end up with, first of all, no clothes, and secondly, no money as well. But yeah, I don't know, it was quite interesting, because like one person did the tactic of they tried to like create a connection between us by like body contact, like kind of like touching my arm, and I was like, I don't like that.
It's a bit much for me.
Yeah, and not in an inappropriate way. Yeah. They're just trying. That's just their body language and how they communicate with people, right?
But that's that NLP type stuff, isn't it?
Right,
so you at a bar, you touch their elbow or whatever.
Yeah.
You do that because it creates
a connection.
It creates.
And I was like,
I can do the opposite, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, I was like sliding away very slowly.
I can't imagine you being touched in the hand and doing anything.
I just.
I think I would only be, but that just shows though like how we're all out of practice, right? And I think that was the thing that kind of sparked me to kind of like get things moving myself, is ultimately I realised I'm out of practice when it comes to dating, like actual dating.
So out of practice, here's a wee side story, and me and Natalie were both involved in that side story. So like, we were at a family event and my uncle was asking us about how we met, and we were talking about it being a dating app. And he was struggling understanding.
Was he like a dating app? What?
Yeah, well, see, I mean, so when I say my uncle, I used to go to the pub with him quite a lot. So it was the same age difference between me and him as it was between him and my dad.
Oh, wow,
like,
okay.
So he was like a big brother to me, and my dad was his big brother forever, right? So, and we were all friends, we were all into music and stuff. So he was asking us about. Essentially, he was really struggling, wasn't he? When he was like, when you not go to bars to meet people and stuff anymore, and it was like, no,
definitely not.
People are in the bars on Tinder trying to find
Yeah,
someone.
how sad is that though? Yeah.
But you're also like with your friends, so you're out with your friends, and you're not looking for a date, and it's almost like going out to the bar.
The person Tinder's replied to.
Yeah.
You're not looking for anyone.
You're not looking for anyone.
You're just sitting across from each other in the same bar, messaging on Tinder. Yeah, wild, absolutely wild.
But it's like, so you and your friends go out, and it's now like they're almost two different things. Like it's almost expected that, not uniquely, but it's almost expecting that you don't approach someone because for numerous reasons. First and foremost, it's kind of more understood that maybe they don't want that. Maybe they don't want approached her like they don't want to up at Kate's bar. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe they're not in that situation.
You don't want that.
Sometimes you don't want that.
It doesn't. Just to say, it doesn't always happen at Katie's bar.
No, that's terrible and actually
Katie,
bad.
yeah.
I mentioned it, like I know, but it just means because
it happens anywhere.
It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I mean.
That's
Like
just
maybe
my
you,
experience.
maybe you don't want that. So and then, but it's kind of like I said, it's kind of almost socially more accepted now that people know that people don't want that. So like people who are out with their friends are out with their friends, and if they're out on a date, they're out on a date. But those two things don't always, or very rarely now, mingle
I would
in
agree,
bars,
yeah.
right? So it then means that now, so Manko was really struggling with this because he was just like, so would you not just like talk to someone at a bar? And it's like, absolutely not.
Definitely
a
not.
stranger? No, listen, I will not phone someone unless I've known them for 10 years. Like the idea that I'm going to talk to a stranger at a bar and then not instantly think, well, that was awkward and weird. Like, do you know what I mean? Like because you don't. Because in a bar especially, it's loud and there's a lot going on, and they're there with their friends.
You can't get to know the person really, can you?
And they're there with their friends.
Yeah.
So then their friends are now watching you. And the thing is, I'm saying that as if like this is a unique experience. That's what the world was.
Yeah.
That's what happened. But now it just
true.
simply doesn't happen anymore, does it not? Whereas speed dating event kind of creates that situation again.
Yeah. I think the good thing is, what I'm realising actually, I'm having an epiphany. I'm thinking, this is cool because you're ahead of the trend, right? Because ultimately we've reached a plateau when it comes to dating apps, right?
Yeah.
So, I went to a friend's wedding in the Czech Republic and they met through a dating app, and all their friends and family were like, this is wild, you met through a dating app? How weird. But like, it's kind of normal now, right? So, and that means that there's going to be a plateau for like monetization for the tech companies, right? So really the next thing is going to be real world events. So so the Eventi is definitely ahead of the curve when it comes to, the Eventi is definitely ahead of the curve when it comes to this kind of stuff, I think, in terms of trends. And seeing it I'm so glad and thankful that you invited us to it, by the way, because seeing it in person actually made it make a lot more sense. And also, because like James went for the banter and for the attention, right? Jason went because he's too polite and he doesn't say no to things. But ultimately, the three of us left with a different view on dating, and so I'm excited to see what happens over the next few months and years with the Eventi. So, if people want more information about the Eventi or to go to one of the events, where do you go? What do you do?
Where'd you sell your tickets?
Tickets are on sale on. Eventbrite. The tickets are on sale on Eventbrite and on Outsavvy.
Love it, love it.
Most information is on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
You have a web page.
I have a web page.
Indeed.
Eventi.com.
The web page will be getting redone because I've been told off for not redoing it. And I do web pages for my job, so I really don't have an excuse not to.
Love it.
I get told off about that last night, didn't I?
Okay.
Yes.
And then don't forget, if you go to the event, leave a comment. Wait, hang on. What will we say? We'll say something like...
Leave a review.
Yeah, so we'll say... Yeah. And then don't forget, if you go to the event, to leave a wee review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to this podcast, even on YouTube Podcasts, because that's now launched as well, in the UK at least, on some devices that have been updated with the app. Great. Anyway, leave a review and let us know about how you got on during your speed dating event. Did you meet the love of your life? Did you get lucky? Were your perception on your entire reality, was it shifted?
I mean, did you have an epiphany?
But just let us know how you get on, because we would be fascinated to hear, especially the architect of this goddamn podcast, Sarah. I'm going to make sure you go to one of these speed dating events, Sarah, if it kills me. I've said to you both about this. Me and Sarah had this idea of getting our mums to go to one of the nights at some point, because we think it'd be really funny, because they're both free and single and ready to mingle. So I don't know, maybe that'll happen in the future. But yeah.
So interestingly, if you are worried about going, because I get it, it's also still daunting. You offer bring a friend for the early bird stuff and stuff, don't you?
Not for the early bird, but on the full price tickets.
So how does this work then?
So on any purchase of a full price ticket, we do a burger event for free.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, cool. That's exciting. Awesome. Okay, so I'm like crawling to the finish line. So, as we say in the exact same way, every single episode without deviation, it's always been the same end of the episode strapline. It's on every t-shirt, every piece of merch, promo code, hashtag dating. Stay.
Positive.
Don't.
We're staying from the start. Yes, just stay positive.
Stay positive, don't lose hope.
Don't lose hope. Never.
Let's have a kiki.
Let's have a kiki, baby. Oh. So, smash that. What is it we're saying? We're not on YouTube. Oh, we are on YouTube. Wait. So you're going to smash? Now it's getting confusing. It's getting complex because the narrative is changing. Because now we have to say...
Smash the like button.
Smash the like button on YouTube. Don't forget to follow... No, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, because you can now listen to podcasts on YouTube as well and watch a video version if you want to. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, because that's where it pays our bills and helps finance future endeavours, and also means you unlock content ranging from the Faith Me podcast, which explores matters of identity through the lens of faith, and also historical oddities that we have created previously. Don't forget, on Spotify you can subscribe there. No, follow there. Follow there on Spotify, and you can leave a comment and a review now, which is great. And then if you listen on Amazon Music, why are you doing that? But also, I support you in your endeavours. I believe you can review there. I don't know. It's not my business.
I would imagine that you can, but I've never had to.
If you're listening on Deezer, did Deezer do podcasts? I don't even know. If you're listening on Deezer, hi there. And also Overcast. I know y'all Americans love Overcast. There's really a lot of podcast services, so we're not going to cover them all right now. It'd be nice if there was just one singular one. It'd be a lot more time efficient, and if they could all just choose the same language so that we didn't need to keep changing it, it'd be really useful.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the biggest...
Also, video podcasts can get in the bin.
Yeah, well, that's it. So weirdly, as I was saying, we were talking about a new podcast, and the idea is that if we do it, we're probably going to do it as a video podcast.
Are you gonna? Oh god, it's so much effort though.
I know. It's
lighting, makeup.
It's cool. We've got one of our like Cavill. He's very technically able, so he's going to do all the editing.
Yeah.
So thankfully, I don't need to worry about
that's
that
good.
anymore. So that's why me and Jerry. That's the only reason me and Jerry are going to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Because we done the editing, we done all that, we done the recording, we done the, like, I mean, it's a moan, right, but we done the hours and hours and hours of work that you have to do for every podcast, and now we're going to do one where we get to watch daft cartoons and talk about it.
So what is the name of your new podcast?
Well, I believe it's going to be the Danger Room, because Danger Room would be the place that the X-Men
love it,
and it's going to be watching the X-Men animated series episode by episode and discussing the nonsense that is in it. The editing behind it, the kind of graphical mistakes that they make with these scenes and stuff like that, it's a good laugh, and it's kind of generationally, it's a theme tune in a TV series that everyone who is of a certain age definitely watch. And there's a new series coming out. There's they've remade it.
My query is though, who is your favourite X-Men? Or X-person? Are we calling people now?
I mean, X-Men probably is the toxic, isn't it? It's really not like. Do you have a favourite X-Men?
I
don't watch X-Men.
I would say mine is Rogue. Obviously, love a bit of Rogue.
I mean, it's probably. See, that's a big question for me, right? So if it's from the entire series, from all the X-Men, like, my favourite character is probably like Juggernaut or something like that. But my favourite X-Men's Gambit.
Yeah, which one's Gambit again?
The Cajun one that throws cards that explode.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Yes, so that's an absolute delight.
Well, if we ever do a season 5, Natalie at that point will tell you what her favourite X-Men, or X-person or woman.
Once you'll have to listen to our whole podcast.
Yeah.
So by that point you'll be well versed. You'll be well versed.
Well, that's me. No more podcasts for me. I now need to go make music, so that's great. So whilst this is my last episode of the podcast, thank Jesus Christ, Britney Spears and Buddha. Next week, it's an all-girls episode in which they will be discussing the super casual, not problematic theme of birth control, which shall include every aspect that you could possibly imagine, ranging from the coil, to the pill, to the pulling out method, to condoms. Sorry, I'm trying not to make eye contact with people right now as I'm saying all these words. And you know, it's going to be a little bit medical, but a lot more personal stories, so it's definitely one not to miss. See you next week. Hey, thank you for listening. The Don't Date Me podcast is created by Jamie Sparks Productions. If you enjoyed it, follow our show and rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. You can rate us each time you listen to an episode. Pure diet, as it helps people find our show. Keep in touch by dropping us an email at don'tdatemepod@itsjamiesparks.com and follow us on Twitter or Instagram at don'tdatemepod. If you love what we're doing, please consider donating to UNICEF to aid the people of Ukraine. Recently, our listeners raised £410 after gift matching. You can find the link in the show notes. See you on the next episode. Yay! Okay, what drink would you like?